Hi, I'm John from Just Whiskey. If you like today's show, give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. It's very important to subscribe as long as you like it. And check out my other channel, Just Whiskey, without the E, where each week I review mostly Scotch whiskey, some rums, and other spirits. But anyway, today is the clickbait, my top 10, but really it's my top 20 albums, my favorite albums of all time. But there has to be some runner-ups, and I'm going to try to keep this thing flowing as to not make this too lengthy of a video. And then, like my top 10 concerts of all time, I had the caveat of saying there's a difference between the most memorable or some of the more memorable albums or concerts and your favorites, the ones that you just go to. This shirt I'm wearing right here is significant because when I was 14 years old, I was at a friend's house going through the record collection, and I had no clue about music really at all. And for some reason, Vanilla Fudge, their self-titled first album, this came out in the late 60s. For some reason, it caught my eye. I put it on the turntable, and it blew my mind. I went home to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I'm into hard rock music. And the rest is history. Within weeks, I just went crazy and into the deep dive into the music world. But this particular T-shirt was signed recently by Carmen Appice. I've seen Vanilla Fudge twice at the Narrows in Fall River, and they're awesome. And they're all in their 70s, but they're freaking great. Still sounding phenomenal. 3 out of 4 original members. Other memorable, what album did you lose your virginity to? Mine was Dan Fogelberg, Phoenix. Okay, just putting it out there. Now, the first album I ever bought, I wanted to buy Kiss Alive, but it's a double album. And when I was 14 years old, I think this was $7.99, maybe $8.99. And I didn't have that much money. And so the first album I bought was Aerosmith Rocks. Love this album. First album I bought probably cost $4.99 or $5.99 at the time. And then the second album I bought, is because I just couldn't stand it anymore, is I had to go out and get Kiss Alive. And this album blew my mind. Wow. We're going to do some more runner-ups, and then we're going to kind of go through my top 20. And then we're going to narrow it down to my top 1 and 2. In 1974... I was 12. My parents took us on a road trip all around the country, and there was an 8-track player, and I was 12 years old. I knew nothing about music except what was on the radio, and there was 3 or 4 8-tracks in there. There was Elvis Presley's greatest hits, Bing Crosby greatest hits, Frank Sinatra's greatest hits, and I think it was Engelbert Humperdinck greatest hits. I really gravitated to Frank Sinatra, and I think I have just about everything he's ever put out. I'm a huge Frank Sinatra fan. I saw his last concert, I think it was May 3rd, 1993 at Foxwoods Casino. Don Rickles opened up. Not a dry eye in the house after that. I'm going to do a whole show on that. But so I'm a huge Frank Sinatra fan, so I threw in, pick any Frank Sinatra album, but certainly in my top 10 artist of all time is Frank Sinatra. I picked this one, Come Fly Away, because my favorite Frank Sinatra song is Moonlight in Vermont, and that's on this album, Come Fly With Me. Good stuff. Other things that were memorable when I was a teenager, I loved the cassette of Best of Raspberries. The Raspberries, Eric Carmen and Raspberries. Absolutely love that. Absolutely love the Carpenters, but more like their catalog. Also, too, there's a band called Ian Lloyd and Stories, and I don't have the damn album, but it's called Stories About Us. Ian Lloyd and Stories. Absolutely love that album. I just don't have it right here. When I was a young teenager, Best of Bread. I listened to that over and over and over again. I really, really like David Gates a lot. All right, so runner-ups in no particular order. These are albums that I played the crap out of as a kid. So these are the runner-ups to my top 20, and then we're going to talk about my top couple albums. Cheap Trick, live at Budokan. Played this, it's probably just about worn out. Phenomenal album. This is, Ian Lloyd and Stories. This is a great album as well, but the one right before this, just called Stories About Us, is my favorite. Best of America. I've burned through 2 or 3 copies of this over the years. Best of America. Awesome. Joan Armatrading, Track Record. This is like her best of. There's not a bad song on this. I absolutely love Joan Armatrading. She's the real deal. I got to see her in the Newport Folk Festival 20 years ago. She's great. Of course, being in New England, even anywhere in the country, the first Boston album is one of the best albums of all time, really. Rock albums. Great album. These are all runner-ups, by the way. David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. A huge David Bowie fan. When I go to karaoke, I always sing a couple David Bowie songs. Awesome album. Alice Cooper, From the Inside. This album, I absolutely, it opens up. He actually spent time in a detox center, and he wrote this whole album about getting clean and being in the nut house, and it's a great album. I would even call it a minor masterpiece, really. I listened to this over and over and over again. Deep Purple, Machine Head. Oh my God. I mean, who hasn't listened to this, right? Classic. An overlooked album, which came before Machine Head, is in rock. This opens up with Speed King. It's heavier and faster than just about any Metallica or Slayer song you ever want to hear. And then Child in Time is on here as well. Awesome album. Another guilty pleasure, Mamas and Papas Greatest Hits. Absolutely love the Mamas and Papas. Carole King, Tapestry. I mean, when you break up with your girlfriend, this is the album you listen to. What more can I say, right? Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East. Great heavy metal live album. Arguably one of the better heavy metal live albums. And my understanding is Rob Halford did all the vocals separate from the live album at John Lennon's house, where they recorded Imagine, and he put a set of headphones in and recorded this entire album in one day. That's my understanding. Nazareth, huge Nazareth fan. This album is a great album because it's an album from start to finish. Every song is good. This is a solid album, so overlooked, but really good. Cover to cover. Absolutely love it. The Move, the best of The Move. Roy Wood's band with Bev Bevan from Electric Light Orchestra, and Jeff Lynne was involved with the move, which evolved into Electric Light Orchestra. I'll do a whole show on the evolution of Jeff Lynne and ELO and the concert I went to. Ted Nugent's first album, classic, masterpiece. The Best of Spirit, Nature's Way, absolutely love that song. And there's other hits on here as well. Phenomenal album. Neil Young, After the Gold Rush. Wow. Another masterpiece album. This album, we had so much fun in high school listening to this. Frank Zappa, Shake Your Booty. It's a double album. So much fun stuff on here. Bobby Brown is one of my guilty pleasure, funny songs. But yeah, this album brings back so many cool memories from high school. And then Wasp, their original self-titled album, Wasp. One of the bands I was in a long time ago called Blind Drive. We played a couple songs off of this, and I saw Wasp co-headline a show, but it ended up being a headlining show at the Channel in Boston, and they were awesome. All right, those are all my, kind of runner-ups. We still have some more. I don't know what the hell happened to it, but the first Tubes album, which this isn't it. This is called Trash, the best of, but there's the picture of their first album in a shredder. Their first album is a masterpiece. Absolutely love it. Queen, News of the World. Again, these are runner-ups. Awesome album. I'm a huge Queen fan. That's one of my favorites. The Jimi Hendrix Experience first album. Are you kidding me? This song list reads like a greatest hits of Jimi Hendrix. Purple Haze, Manic Depressive, Hey Joe, The Wind Cries Mary, Fire, Foxy Lady, Are You Experienced? I mean, this is a masterpiece album that I listened to so many times as a teenager. Another guilty pleasure, love this album, love the movie, Hedwig and the Angry Inch. The soundtrack to Hedwig and the Angry Inch, absolutely love it. I've seen the Broadway play, absolutely love it. Flaming Lips, I've seen him a couple times in concert, mind-blowing. This album is Yoshimi and the Pink, Battle of Yoshimi and the Pink Robots. Great album, absolutely love this. All right, now we're getting to the nitty-gritty here. One more honorable mention. I love NRBQ. And any one of their albums are really good. This just happens to be the 50th year 5 CD retrospective that starts back from 1966 and ends in 2016. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of songs on this. When I go on a road trip, I always bring this and just one CD after the other. Great music. All right, now we're getting into my top 20 here. This is which is the toughest thing, right? Here we go. So we already talked about this. Aerosmith Rocks, my first album that I ever bought. So it's in my top 20. It just has to be. Kiss Alive, which we already talked about. Top 20. Second album I ever bought. I think the third album I bought, I'm not sure, was probably Billy Joel, Piano Man. Captain Jack is my favorite Billy Joel song. I listened to this so many times. Top 20 albums. David Bowie Pinups. He does, it's all cover tunes of 60s bands. This is his best singing ever, in my opinion. Great music on here. Neil Young, Harvest. Probably my favorite song of all time, Out on the Weekend, opens this album. And when I had my first car with an 8-track player in it, whenever I had butterflies in my stomach, maybe driving out to a first date with a girl or going to a job interview, I would put this album on, and it was like heroin. Not that I would know anything about that, but it just totally relaxed me, and great therapy. Neil Young, Harvest, absolutely love that album. Electric Light Orchestra is probably my top 3 bands of all time. A New World Record is a masterpiece. Highly recommend it. It's a best of in its own, too. My top 20. Getting back to Frank Zappa apostrophe. When I was 14, 15, hanging out with friends at people's houses, this album was played so many times. Masterpiece album, apostrophe. Absolutely love it. Blue Oyster Cult. Most of their albums are great. Spectres is a close second, but for me, Agents of Fortune is my favorite Blue Oyster Cult album. Classic. Spectres is really good. Foghat Live. I listened to this so many times as a teenager. Slow ride, take it easy. Great album. When I was a teenager, Black Sabbath was probably my favorite band, and I met some people from Germany who were a little bit older than me. They were cousins of my next door neighbor. And I was talking about Black Sabbath, and they said, "Have you ever heard of, in thick German accent, have you ever heard of Judas Priest?" And this was 1978 probably. And I said, "No." And they said, "Judas Priest is better than Black Sabbath." And I said, it can't be. I was arguing. I go, "There's no way any band can be better than Black Sabbath." I had never heard of Judas Priest before that. I went to my local record store and I said, "Please order me a Judas Priest album." And Hellbent for Leather, 1978, came out, and the cover was cool. The band's on the back. I drove my bicycle home, and I put this on the turntable, and the first song is "Delivering the Goods." I was blown away by it. I didn't know what to expect. This album, oh my God, I absolutely loved it. And then Motorhead. This was my first Motorhead record. It's called No Remorse. It's a double album, and basically it's a best of Motorhead with a bonus track on here, Killed by Death. And Killed by Death and Ace of Spades and We Are the Road Crew are my top 3 favorite Motorhead songs, but Killed by Death just does it for me, man. And yeah, what a great album. My first concert, Frampton Comes Alive, double album. I mean, classic, speaks for itself. Same thing. I have 2 of them, but I didn't put it out here. Fleetwood Mac Rumors. I've listened to that so many times, and cassette as a kid, and album when I became an adult. Fleetwood Mac Rumors, just throwing that in there. Motley Crue's first album. I love every single song on this. It's their best album, in my opinion. It has a punk edge to it. Street punk metal with some great vocals and great melodies and a little bit of pop thrown in there. I've listened to this so many times. I just did a show recently, New England. This is their self-titled album. I love every single song on this. It's in my top 20. The band New England. Hirsch Gardner is the drummer. I did my second show was all about that. And then I've already talked about this. Frank Sinatra. My favorite song by Frank is Moonlight in Vermont, which is on this album. But any Anyway, and then here we go, right? Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks. In my opinion, his best album that he ever did, although all of them are really good. But this one I absolutely love, and he wrote this about a major divorce he was going through. So it's really good. I'm not a Deadhead, but Grateful Dead, American Beauty. I absolutely love this album, and for most of my life, I've raised chickens, and I would slaughter chickens, and I would pluck them and go through eviscerate the whole thing. And whenever I would slaughter chickens, I know it sounds weird, but I would always put American Beauty by the Grateful Dead on the CD player while I was outside slaughtering chickens. I was just dancing to it the whole time, and it just made the process less ugly. In my top 20, and then here we go. Probably my top 2 albums of all time. The Beatles are my favorite band. Black Sabbath is my second favorite band. Electric Light Orchestra is probably my third favorite band, catalog-wise. And if I only had to pick one Beatles album, it would be the White Album. It's a double album. And yeah, it has Revolution Number 9, which takes up a lot of wacky space, but the Beatles' White Album is my number 1 or number 2 album. And I know it's so yin and yang. And then here it is. Black Sabbath, Sabotage. It's my favorite Black Sabbath album. And if I only had to choose one, if someone said, John, take one CD and you're going on a desert island for the rest of your life, what would it be? And you have a choice of Black Sabbath or the Beatles' White Album. I would probably take the Beatles' White Album. But if I could take 2, it would be Black Sabbath, Sabotage. It's the best Ozzy ever sang, in my opinion. The songs are solid. It's the best production. It's the most dynamic sounding, best produced, best sung Black Sabbath album, in my opinion. That's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, thumbs up, like, subscribe, consider becoming a Patreon. No, don't consider becoming a Patreon. If you're feeling generous, I'll have a PayPal link in the description below. And check out my other channel, Just Whiskey without the E. Hats off to you all, and rock on!